Hello and welcome to Facebook Mastery's automation module, where I'm going to be teaching you all the amazing things that you can do to automate your Facebook campaigns. Now, given that Facebook is a huge startup, one of the biggest in the world, and built entirely on the concept of automation, scaling, doing as much as humanly possible with the most advanced computers in the world, there is a phenomenal amount that you can do to tie into Facebook systems and automate your campaigns. But before we get into the how, when we start talking about coding and rules and automation and robots and machine learning, all this kind of stuff, the first question we should really ask is why? Why would you automate? I mean, I'm a nerd, I love me a bit of geekery. I love talking about machine learning and, cool things you can do with neural networks and all this kind of thing. But at the end of the day, if it is not making you money, you shouldn't be doing it in your Facebook campaigns. So will automation actually save you money or make you money? The answer is absolutely. It's going to make you a lot. So I'm going to go back to kind of classical economics here. The basic principles of business is that you have time and you have money. You can use your time to make money. And of course, this is how a lot of us start out, either freelancing or doing SEO or whatever, to generate money from time. And then as you get bigger, you can start spending money on staff to reduce the amount of time you need to spend. And then we get to the ideal digital nomad hanging out on the beach drinking Mai Tais while your campaigns make you 5 figures a day situation. Now, the big thing about automation, and the thing that is the reason that technology has driven most major societal changes for the last 200 years, is because it breaks that principle. Anything you are automating, you are spending a fixed amount of time rather than a per task amount of time to eliminate a task forever. Which essentially, you put a small amount of work in at the front and you get a free robot slave that will sit there and do that one task perfectly forever. And you never have to spend on it again. It transforms it from a variable cost into a fixed cost. And that is a huge deal. It also gives you a strategic advantage because you can often do things that would cost a prohibitive amount of money. For example, you are almost certainly not going to see a positive return from hiring someone to check one of your campaigns every minute and instantly pause anything that is determined to not be a good ROI, or instantly up the bid on anything that is at an appropriate stage. That's just not going to be a time or money efficient thing to do. You're going to be hiring one person to manage one campaign pretty much. Or you can just run a script on a DigitalOcean server, which will cost you $5 a month. You're never going to get a person for that, but you can get a computer, you can teach it to do the work, and that can give you a strategic advantage because now you can do monitoring or ad creation or creative creation or bidding adjustments at a frequency that mere humans cannot match. And this is the same kind of idea behind high frequency trading, but it works very, very well for running ad campaigns on the internet. And the final thing about automation that makes it so incredibly powerful is that it simply makes everything more fun. Running, once you have figured out how you want to run your campaigns, duplicating 100 different campaigns, 100 different ad sets, and then going through and individually changing the creative or doing whatever, manually repeating a task over and over again for every product in your Shopify store or every product your client wants to run, or setting up a dozen different split tests and doing all the very small targeting components of each of those. None of these things are in any way fun. They're not creatively challenging, they don't occupy your brain, they are just grunt work. And automation exists because programmers, it exists because it makes money, but it has become very big in the 21st century because programmers tend to be people who really hate grunt work. And thus, we try as hard as possible to eliminate it. So, get into automation, make your campaigns more fun. Very cool. Okay, so what can we actually do with this thing on the ground? Well, the first thing you can do is you can customize bulk ad creation or bulk campaign creation to a ridiculous extent. I mean, one of the things that I'm going to show you here very basically is an automated setup where you can literally just feed a script a single image and a single set of targeting requirements, and it will go off and set you up an entire campaign with multiple ad sets, Each of those ad sets will have multiple ads in, all ready for AA testing. All you have to do is press a single button. That's a really tedious part of Facebook, particularly at a larger scale, is setting up dozens and dozens of campaigns. And you can write a program to set up campaigns in almost any way you want. Obviously, Facebook has things like the Power Editor, but the Power Editor is quite limited. There are a lot of things you can't do with it. Using scripting and automation, you can do anything you want. I literally cannot think of a campaign setup that you could not automate on Facebook, that you could create manually. Anything you can create, you can automate. Second thing with it you can do, and this is really powerful, is you can automate your optimization. Now, Facebook is so keen on automating optimization that one of the things we'll be talking about actually requires no coding at all. It's something that came in very recently in July this year, or at least it rolled out fully in July this year, which is Facebook's rules. And they mean that you can just set any ad set, any ad, any campaign up to check every half hour whether it has fulfilled a certain set of criteria. And if it has fulfilled those criteria, it will take an action, and that action can be pause the ad set because this thing is not working. We know it's not working. Let's just kill it. It's spent over what we want to spend. It hasn't got a conversion. It isn't getting the required CPA, whatever you want, just pause it. And that's huge because that not only means that you save time in coming in every morning and checking through all your campaigns and checking to see whether they're at the stage where you need to pause them or you need to upscale the bid or whatever. It also, like I said, means you can do this more often than you possibly could. You would have to hire like 3 people on shifts to check your campaigns every half hour, 24 hours a day to achieve the same result that you can achieve now through a simple visual script in Facebook. So that is really powerful. You can also set your automation up to give you user-friendly monitoring. Now, obviously, Facebook has some pretty decent monitoring, but it's not as customizable as one might like. It doesn't always show all the information. You often want, particularly if you're working with clients or you're running a lot of campaigns, you're going to want a top-level overview of just what's going on, or you're going to want to know specific metrics very quickly and easily. This is all stuff you can set up very simply using automation, plugging into the Facebook API, and then displaying it all on a simple web page. And the final thing that we can do with automation, although we won't touch on this very much in this course, is you can actually automate ad creative creation. So if, for example, you're running a Shopify store, or you're running something where there are a lot of new images, a lot of new products coming through, you can use automation to take each of the images from that product, from one of those products, take the description from the product, combine them together, actually create a visual, maybe with a small amount of text at the bottom to fit into the Facebook text rule, or you can place the image from the ad in a certain context. You can do all of the kind of photoshopping that you might well do. You can set that up to be done more or less automatically, and then once again, plug that automatically into a campaign. You can even have the campaign start running. So you can run a Shopify store and literally never touch the Facebook interface. You'll just have a robot running all your campaigns for you once you know what works. So that's it. That's the basics of what you can do. What we're going to do now is we're going to take time to split this off into 2 halves. Firstly, I'm going to talk about Facebook automation for people who are not programmers, because I know that is a lot of people, and I know for a lot of people, automation looks really intimidating. It looks like this kind of thing that you can only do if you're a super wizard programmer. And I have heard affiliates time and time again say, oh, well, I'd love to get into automation, but I'm not, super nerd, egghead. You don't have to be. And particularly for Facebook, you don't have to be, because they are very keen, being super nerd eggheads themselves, on making this stuff accessible. So I'm going to talk about Facebook rules. I'm going to talk about third-party platforms. I'm going to talk about hiring a programmer, all this other stuff that means you can automate if you are not a big nerd. Then, as a big nerd myself, I'm going to talk about automating if you are. I'm going to talk about how you can get into programming, even if you haven't programmed before, what tools you use, what libraries you use, how to get set up, and how to make the most out of the Facebook API, which is a big, complicated, gnarly beast of a thing, and it's definitely good to get some background before you go in on what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be doing it. So that's that. I will see you in the next 2 modules.